And so it's interesting. We were just talking about Dominion tree line. I really love the strategy of tree line. I think a lot of people kind of neglect it because they're like, oh, well, it's so unbalanced and stuff, which is true. And the game does snowball very quickly, but there's actually a lot of cool things about it as far as like map control, because you have 4 buffs. So, Dragon, 2 spawn buffs, and then the red buff. So that's more than Summoner's Rift, even though it's a smaller map. But right off the bat, banning Shen and Anivia. And Shen, last game, we saw how effective Wicked was with it, and then obviously Anivia is a must-ban, always against Froggen, which is unfortunate, having champs that you have to ban, because then it reduces the banning pool, obviously, and puts you at a disadvantage. But we see Morgana and Nautilus. Nautilus, we haven't been seeing many EU teams playing Nautilus, which is a shame because he's just so powerful, and I love watching him. But I'm assuming that Derpers is well known for, that Nautilus, or CLG just happy with banning it because he is such an aggressive jungler and then provides so much control for a backline team in team fights.
Yeah, Nautilus, I feel, seeing what CLG went with, our previous games against MTW, Nautilus could really just be a huge, thorn in their sides, especially that ultimate. If they're going to be having, a very tanky front line, with people in the back plugging away, it's like, I'm just gonna focus my ult on someone in the back, and I'm just gonna pop up every single one of you along the way. It could be really devastating to them. But we do have Urgot and Soraka being banned as well, and Nocturne will be the first pick for Derpers here. And they realize, I think they took a little bit of a message. I'm pretty sure they were watching these previous games, like, okay, we know what kind of strat they want to go for. If we get Nocturne, we just go ahead right in straight for the backline champs.
Yeah, both games, CLG was running those backline teams where they, want to keep their distance. They want to control the fights in front of them. So Nocturne obviously has that initiation, and he's just a strong all-around jungler. So it gives you a lot of versatility what to do with Nocturne. Having that potential for such aggressive ganks, to pair him with like an Ashe or a TF, obviously is going to be very strong early in the game. Or you can just use him with more of a standard team and use him for initiation. But right off the bat, CLG, they're going to maybe be grabbing Jax. I'm kind of curious if that'll be the case. It is a little bit early to pick Jax, but he is just so strong. And, Wicked, obviously one of the strongest top laners in the game. If he's comfortable controlling the lane as Jax, which, Jax has a lot of control, and then farming into that late game, then obviously that's going to be a strong pick. And so Jax and Cog, they have 2 hyper carries right now. It's going to be such a powerful late game, for Derpers to deal with.
Yeah, so we realize we know you can get to our backline, but we're gonna take Kog'Maw anyway.
Yeah,
it's like forget you guys. We're gonna stick with our guns, and we're gonna stick with the strat we want to do. So we may actually see a Blitzcrank here from Derpers to try and counteract a little bit. And we also have the Aurelia pick as well. So we're thinking Jax more than likely top lane, unless we have kind of like that Shen situation that we've mentioned before. It's like, hey, we'll get Jax top lane. Oh man, he got countered. Let's throw him in the jungle.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see. I'm assuming almost certainly he's going to be top lane. It is interesting to have Cog against Nocturne and just, be fearless there. But obviously they can, burst down Nocturne pretty easily with that Jax pick. That's going to be a concern of theirs. And now it's Jax versus 2 AD, and it's going to be 3 AD once you throw in the bot AD carry. And so, Jax obviously works very well against physical teams with his dodge. He will be very strong there. Jax versus Aurelia is interesting, though. I'm curious, we have the potential for Alistar to either be support or in the jungle. And the jungle, ganks would work very well against Jax. Aurelia versus Jax. Jax, they both have a lot of burst potential. Aurelia does have her stun to kind of get out of Jax's way, and she has a little bit of regen. So once she hits 6, she can exchange damage a little bit with him and then heal back up, which is going to be a concern. But I still feel like Jax's damage potential is just too strong for Aurelia. So we'll have to see how that lane works out. But having Cog and Nunu is such a strong lane. It's obviously one of the strongest lane comps in the game. You have that super burst for Cog. It can obviously still work for Jax. And then also you have the fight control, and they're actually going to combo Nunu and Maokai. So they have that huge AoE fight. If Nocturne decides to jump in onto Kog'Maw, Nunu can split them. So Nunu will have Nocturne on one side of the ult, the rest of the team on the other side. Now all of a sudden they're in just terrible positioning for the fight. And they also have a lot of kill potential with Maokai in the jungle.
So, yeah, Maokai, just amazing presence in the jungle just on his own, too. Fantastic setups for ganks, but his jungle path is fairly predictable. and they are picking that in the face of an Alistar who's very good at getting in for all those jungle invades. He's like the number one guy you want for a jungle invade. Flash, pulverize, AoE pop up. Everyone could go down pretty quick. Or if they really want to, just go swoop in. If Maokai doesn't decide to start over at Wraith, you can go in, grab all the saplings out there, just like, hey, you know what? We're gonna ruin your start. We're gonna have you a little bit of a disadvantage and try and make your jungle as slow as we can. If they're not going to go in and just steal the blue outright.
And so now we see we're maybe looking at a Vladimir pick, but it's going to swap up for Sivir and TF. Now Sivir in lane, she actually has a nice chunk of burst damage. When you combo her attack, then you have the auto attack with a refresh with the W, and then obviously the Q. So that's a nice chunk of damage. The Q does outrange Kog'Maw, so you get some harass onto him. And then the nice thing is that Nunu, he counters out a lot of bot lanes because you have the snowball. It's a low cooldown at high levels. It's level 6, or it's 6-second cooldown. It's a 4-second movement speed and attack speed slow. So against a lot of AD carries, you have that Nunu snowball. You come in and you slow down the enemy carry. Now all of a sudden they can't fight Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is just too strong, and they're not doing any damage because of the snowball. Sivir can block the snowball and then still stand toe-to-toe with Kog'Maw, and then they have the kill potential of Alistar. So the Sivir pick works really well to kind of counter out Nunu there, and we'll have to see how she works in team fights. She gives them the movement speed with the ultimate, and that's one of the things you like to do against Jax. If you can kite Jax in fights and not allow him to get on you, because Jax needs to just constantly be attacking and eating people alive. So you use the Sivir ult in order to kite people in fights or to chase down people for kills, and then very quickly you can get an advantage in those fights.
And not to mention that the Sivir shield could also block the twisted advance coming in from Maokai. And
that's very true.
And that will also put Maokai at a positional disadvantage
because it still goes off.
Because it still goes. He still makes the move. It's just Sivir, we do not take any damage. We're no longer rooted. So it's like Maokai comes in for the ganks. Shield. Maokai becomes in a whole mess of trouble. Hey, there's an Alistar, and now I'm airborne. Could be a really bad situation. So we may actually see Maokai not gank bot, maybe even at all. We may actually want to see him focus top lane and try and shut down Aurelia. But the last pick, we got Zilean here on CLG. We saw M5 actually do this yesterday, going Zilean mid, and it actually worked out really well for them. They were going up as Zilean against Kennen in mid. Actually worked out pretty okay. Anytime Kennen came in for last hits or used Lightning Rush, bomb, and you're good. TF. I mean, every time he comes, it'd be really is really rough going to be for TF to come in. If he wants to get a yellow card and harass out on Zilean, he's going to be eating 2 bombs pretty much almost every time.
Yeah, if he can get the stun off fast enough, though, he can maybe only take 1 bomb. The issue is, Zilean does work very well against most AP carry mids, and we did see Zilean fall off for quite some time. It's been the longest time since I've seen him played. But he always worked very well mid. He was very strong. And now it's that Zilean-Jax combo, the exact same combo we saw M5 run, like you said.
Yeah.
So, Jax, he's going to be a late-game monster. You know that. Kog'Maw, he's going to be a late-game monster. We have the AoE from Nunu and from Maokai to support them. So we've got this AoE to disrupt the fights, while both of these carries are just going to be so powerful late-game. And if you try and burst one of them down, then all of a sudden, Jax, we have the revive from Zilean. That's going to work very effectively. The concern is, whether or not we pick up kills early for Derpers, and TF and Nocturne is just such a strong kill combo. To have the Nocturne ganks, it will work very well against Maokai. We might see Maokai come bottom. It will be tough. I think bottom will tend to turn into a farm lane, which is unfortunate because they had the Alistar pick. Alistar does work well for the fights as the game progresses, but Kog'Maw has enough range where he can just sit there and farm at a distance. It will be difficult for Alistar to get in that kill range. But if we have any early fights, TF and Nocturne, we'll see what kind of aggression we see out of them. Aurelia, if she gets off to a good start against Jax, can definitely scale very well into late game. Aurelia's one of the tankiest assassin characters later on, and if she can dive onto Kog'Maw and disrupt his damage, then that'll definitely help them out a lot in fights to shut down Kog's damage. But Jax is definitely going to be a terror top lane.
Yeah, so I think we have 2 objectives here. I think both teams, they really are looking to try and get one big member of their team fed. In terms of CLG, bot lane, there's not really they can't really do a whole lot to try and come in and gank Sivir. So, but top lane though, we do have a shot of Jax just kind of wrecking top lane. So I think CLG's objective is here to feed the Jax. On Derpers, we do have Sivir, and one of the best things that Sivir can do is push lanes. She has a spell shield available for it to protect from ganks. We have Alistar there to be aggressive, and we have all the CC we need. And I think we may actually see bot lane for Derpers really pushing it and trying to force Kagha Tower. So I think Derpers' objective here is try and feed the Sivir.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Sivir can do, and Sivir always has the potential to stall the game. As the game goes longer and longer, though, it goes more and more into CLG's favor, and so there's always going to be like a timer in Derpers' minds where they need to make things happen. They need to get early towers. Sivir is very strong at pushing towers. If they can take any sort of early advantage and force CLG to back, then they can drop towers extremely quickly, which is a lot of what they're going to be trying to do.
There we are. We're good to go. And here we are, Derpers CLG.EU, game number 1, IPL5 EU qualifiers. We are already right into it.
Yeah, and one thing that's going to be interesting to watch is we have a really aggressive level 1 team for Derpers, and having that Alistar in the TF, obviously they're going to be looking for some early advantages. Maokai usually starts at race, and so you can set up at the race and then go over to blue. Obviously, if they invade the blue, that's going to be very strong, but we see CLG, they're setting up by the race for Maokai, expecting an early invade, and so Nunu actually does see Alistar. They do see each other here, but the rest of the team is off to the side. They drop a ward and might back out. No one walking to the bush. If we had one person walk in, then there was still plenty of burst damage from CLG to just drop someone quickly.
There was, but Alistar's right out there in front, and if they went ahead and engaged on this, we would have seen
they're coming in from behind.
They are coming from behind, but we would have seen J-Ray just right out there in front, pulverized. Everyone would have been popped up, and everyone, once you're airborne, once you have that mass CC going down, if you just focus down one character, possibly Wicked, it could have ended up really bad for CLG. So, actually good call on them for not actually going in on that.
The path they just took was just slightly out of the way for Wicked, so Wicked didn't see them coming in. Maokai dropping just a single sapling, so he's not going for his race. He knew there was kind of a threat coming in. He does see them there. He saw just a peek of Alistar coming across. I believe he did. I'm not positive,
but I don't think they did.
Well, I think when he...
now they do. Now they do. Now
I'm fairly certain that Alistar, walked into the vision range. So, they will be able to steal that red buff, but Maokai going to get his blue, so that's fine. It does slow down some of his ganking potential. Wicked actually coming in here, he just kind of wants to see what's going on. And so now, he saw 3 of them there. He maybe actually only saw 1 of them. But
yeah, one's enough.
Regardless, he knows, all right, they're going for red. He's actually going to try and stop it. What are you doing? Get out of there.
Don't do it, Wicked. You're a little bit of a hairy situation there, but we got the stun. We got the flash away. We burns the flash, just trying to get the info we needed. But I think it was pretty safe to say that, the red was going to be taken for him. I don't think that was really much, really all necessary to have to try and check up on that. But he's actually still hanging around.
And I think he's trying to not allow him to take this red, so he's trying to just kind of stall them. His team is not coming, though. He's trying to get them scared, I think, a little bit. Nocturne's still going to get this red. It does slow him down, but here's the thing. He stalled long enough for Maokai to go get their red. So Maokai, not usually known to be a counter jungler, but he is going to steal the red from Nocturne, and now Maokai actually has a level advantage on Nocturne. He's level 3 coming into the spot lane. Sivir doesn't have the shield yet, I don't think, if we check.
We got Ricochet
she doesn't.
First.
So level 3 versus the level 1 with the double buff. There's a lot of kill potential there. There's the Twisted Advance with the flash. He's actually going to flash out as well. Didn't want to be headbutted back in. He didn't know what Alistar had. He took the Pulverize, but even so, that Pulverize under the tower would have been devastating. And if he gave the early level 2 buff to Sivir, that would have been game over for bot lane.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about Twisted Advance as well, is that when you trigger it, it places you wherever they land. If they flash away while the animation is still going on, you're going to end up where they've flashed to. In this case, and in a lot of cases, it's under tower. So Snoopy had really no other choice but to flash away as well and burn that. But we still do have a little bit of an advantage here over Nocturne. And we actually still do have this ward up here by CLG's Wraiths.
Yeah, and so Nocturne coming in mid, he's probably not going to get this gank off, but he does see Maokai there, so he could actually steal some of these Wraiths with his Q, which will help, but he's actually just going to come right onto Froggen. He gets the Q out. Maokai is here as well. He's not going to be able to get the Fear. He is going to get the Fear, but he's still chasing, gets some nice damage, has to flash out of there because he's taking a nice chunk of damage, but now Hawkden coming in as well. The Ignite onto Snoopy, they're going to be able to get that. Nocturne just barely getting out of range of TF. I was a little scared that he was going to stand a little bit too close to him there and take that bomb damage. So we have first blood and the double buff going from Snoopy onto Hawkton.
As they were waiting, they wanted, you saw Towel just stopped attacking completely because, like, okay, I don't want to retake these double buffs. If we're going to get this kill, we need to give it to Hawkton. We need to get him both buffs because it's really not going to be doing a whole lot if we have a second set of double buffs on our jungler. We need to take full advantage of this if we're going to get this kill, and they got it. And you also see, once again, how Twisted Advance works sometimes, because we also saw another flash away from Maokai, but we flashed outside of his vision. When you no longer have vision on Twisted Advance during the animation, it stops.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is interesting in that bottom lane is we know that the harass advantage is for Kog and Nunu. It's a really effective harassing because as we said earlier, the Sivir, she's not going to be getting out as much damage as she normally would want to. Wow, I'm tripping over my own words here. But Alistar came in with the headbutt there to knock away Kog, so Sivir didn't really take a lot of damage. She is able to sit up there, attack Nunu a little bit, when Alistar gets him out of there. But we have Maokai coming into this top. He's not going to have a gank opportunity there, but he will continue his jungle and try and catch up now, even though he's down these buffs.
Yep. I mean, we did have enough gold on us to go actually finish up. We got our Philo Stone, so we got our first GP10. Maokai is good on that. He usually starts out with the regrowth pendant, so he can go ahead and get that on his first back. Really convenient for him. And he does have a lot of sustain in team fights as well because of his passive. He's going to be casting a lot of spells. Especially with this team. In team fights, we're going to see Maokai regen a lot of health because we're going to see Kog'Maw just in the back spewing his ultimate. So we're going to get those stacks on his passive really quick.
Yeah, and Sivir and Alistar taking those golems. Nocturne's up top, so he doesn't really need them. That's definitely going to help give them a nice little advantage. We do have Nocturne walking through the ward up top, so Jax sees him up there. Wicked will know to be a little bit defensive here, and so he will want to go back. But it does give Aurelia a nice opportunity to get level 6. She is pretty close, and maybe try and start bullying around Jax a little bit. Nocturne still going to be pressuring. Actually just drops a ward for Aurelia, then is going to get back. And we saw Wicked starting to pressure that tower, so we'll see if he just wants an early tower so he can continue just pressuring this top lane. It's still really early to tell, though.
Yep. So we see Aurelia and Jax have both hit 6 up there on top lane, so you have a little bit more farm potential from Aurelia. If she really just wants to clear a wave, she can just pop the ult and keep going. And we see how the harass can go in mid lane as well. It's like, oh, you're going to yellow card me. Have a bomb. Have a bomb.
And so far, Aurelia has actually done a really nice job against Jax. Is able to harass him down a little bit, but he's going to be fine sitting underneath that tower. TF coming up top, though, and not going to be able to get it.
He just wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
He just wanted to say, he's like, Jax, how you doing? Is your tower doing pretty good? Oh, that's good to know. Okay, I'm going back to base.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't wait a second for the minions to push up, so TF could have actually come in behind the tower. They could get the stun off. Aurelia just tank it, and she is level 6. With the Ignite, they probably had enough damage for that kill. But not wanting to pursue it as much as they went. I think it was a little bit of a miscommunication. Maybe TF was thinking we're going in, and then Aurelia was like, "What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Wait a second."
The wave hasn't pushed up yet, man. We don't have the protection we need, and she wasn't ready. And yeah, a little bit of a wasted ult there, a little bit of a wasted opportunity. But what we're doing is, we gave Froggen time to actually go back. He got himself Catalyst. That's going to be going to Rod of Ages. And we got to be a little bit more mana, a little bit tankier, and hopefully we'll be able to see him finish Rod of Ages relatively soon.
Yeah, Aurelia taking some damage from the tower, but that's fine. She's exchanging some with Jax. She wants to recall, buy her items. Not really sure what she's going. She might go with the Wriggles, and that's one of the things that we haven't seen a lot against Jax. Wriggles obviously was nerfed some, but because Jax is just so strong in lane, Wriggles gives you a little bit more lane control to have that regen. She's actually going to go with the Sheen, so having that burst against him is going to be very nice to kind of wear him down. She can exchange burst. They both have nice burst now, and then she backs up and regens herself, and so she has that advantage. Now Zillion grabbing this blue is going to be huge in that mid lane, and bot lane again pretty even. Not a whole lot that they have as far as kill potential, so it's mostly just a farm lane for both of them.
And when we see Jax go back, we see him get the pickaxe and the Vamp Scepter, so he's got both of those two combined. So what that means, he's going to be going for the Bilge War Cutlass, which is eventually going to be built into the Hextech Gunblade. So now we see Aurelia looking to build Burst, and we see Jax looking to build Sustain, because Aurelia already has a lot of built-in Sustain, so she wants to go for Burst. Jax already has a lot of built-in Burst, he wants to go for Sustain. We kind of want to try and cancel each other out.
Yeah, and that's actually going to work in Jax's favor. Right now, Aurelia is at a slight advantage, but we see the damage from Jax coming out, and once he has sustain, he is going to be even stronger, be able to force her out of lane, and that's going to be difficult. We have Nocturne, coming up top, going to see if he can get an engage, but bottom, again, exchanging damage, but not a whole lot of kill potential. And now, if Aurelia can bait Jax into another dive, and he uses his leap strike to engage, Nocturne comes in top. Maybe even followed up with the TF. The TF is kind of sitting mid for a second. There's a lot of kill potential there.
And we see Zilean actually getting an offensive ward down by Raze, and we see Zilean actually coming on down. We may actually have an attempt here on onto Arthana and Jerry. We actually got Alistar getting really low here. He has 6. He still has ult available to him. I'm not sure why he didn't pop it earlier, but the bomb should be enough to finish him. Froggen is now actually taking this tower outright, but we got TF. But hey, we got Zilean. He ulted himself, so he will come back. TF thought he was going to get the kill with that.
And in the meantime, they are diving Jax top. Maokai is coming in as well, and Jax actually able to take down Nocturne. We have the Ignite on him, but Aurelia with the Twisted Advance is frozen, and the double kill going onto Wicked.
So you don't want to get that Jax.
Able to grab that. And so, actually, if you go back like 15 seconds, we can take a look at the actual start of the dive. They did ult in.
Go back a little bit further here.
Yeah.
So Nocturne was actually waiting in the bush up top lane. We had the ult from TF come in. We got the Q, and Nocturne's actually going to be the one taking the tower. So we got the ult. We're trying to get some extra damage in, but the damage output from Aurelia and Nocturne is just not enough to beat out the tower. Just straight out. And Aurelia thought she could still get something on Wicked. We got a little bit of, tunnel vision there. Yeah. Just did not know to walk away.
Nocturne had been sitting up top for a while, trying to get in the engage. Unfortunately, Snoopy was up there as well, and it's so difficult to dive Jax. We saw really nice control, from Wicked, able to use the dodge. Obviously, is going to be very strong. And so, that double kill is going to be huge. Now, he does have the regen advantage over Aurelia now, and because of his items, they're actually a little bit stronger than Aurelia's. Aurelia has more burst and kill potential, but lane to lane, Jax is going to beat out Aurelia at this point. And so if he can, farm and kind of pressure her out of lane, that's going to be difficult for them to deal with. He obviously doesn't want to be too aggressive. And that's one of the things that, Derpers has that counters Jax is the Nocturne NTF. If Jax is looking to be incredibly aggressive, then they can very quickly just come up there and be like, no, bad, and shut him down. So he, won't want to be forcing too many fights. But we do see CLG coming in for this dragon. They're going to be able to pick it up really quickly. And
a nice ward placement out there. We saw this yesterday too. If you have an inkling that dragon or baron is warded, if you want to put a ward in the pit, you want to make sure you do it inside the lip so they do not see it. And but hey. They saw them take it. There wasn't really a whole lot else that they could do about it otherwise. And also, basically, if you're playing Jax, or actually if you're playing anyone that wants to build a Gunblade, you usually want to get the Cutlass first because of the extra slow. And we actually already have Exhaust on Jax, which he burned earlier. It's got a little bit of a cooldown, and having an extra slow available to you on an item does make up for it and just gives you more tools in your kit.
Yeah, we see Nocturne coming up, dropping the ward by the Wraith, so he's going to have a little bit more vision. Zilean dropping some bombs on them, getting some damage. And actually, we see Cog with the great damage against Alistar. Alistar pops the ultimate, and the TF ultimate coming in as well. There's the stun, the cleanse a little bit too soon. Yellow Pete trying to get out of there, but the flash from TF will be able to take him down. But as a result, Cog going down, so that's great for them. But we do have both Zilean and Maokai coming into this top, and Maokai is going to tank that tower for Aurelia.
And
actually, he doesn't even need to. And she is able to flash out of there, so they will be fine. But we'll see whether or not Jax is going to pressure this tower. He was kind of attacking it early. He can drop it now if he chooses.
It's already halfway down. Yeah, Wicked. We have the attack speed steroid. Plenty of time. And we also got Maokai here to help. Snoopy's here. We're just going to go ahead and focus down this tower and take it down pretty quick. Now, hopefully we will see Wicked stay in top lane.
Oh, but they lost mid tower.
They did lose
TF
mid.
And Nocturne coming down that mid tower, so they are able to pick up top. Aurelia, we'll have some nice farm there. Unfortunately, the tower didn't kill any of those, ways to deny that experience, which is going to allow her to keep up in even with Jax. But now, because they have an aggressive team, taking down that mid tower to have that map control, it allows a little bit more aggression. And Zilean, he obviously has the revive, but they do have enough damage to burst him down. And then, once he's revived, there's enough sustained damage with Nocturne to take him down. And Cog, being safe there, recognizes, okay, there's Nocturne, says hi, I know you're there. He's going to back off now.
Yeah, Towel has not been... He's actually been quite predictable with these ganks already. They recognize that as, okay, we saw what happened top lane. He's going to be sneaky. He's going to be trying, staying in these bushes, waiting for his moment. His ult is up. He wants to do it at very close range so you don't have that much time to react. So, I mean, I would recommend that, Tell just take a little bit more time, farm. You're level behind Maokai right now. You want to try and get back a little bit of what you've lost. You are 0-1-1. Yeah, granted, Maokai is the same too, but Maokai, he does have 2 GP10, so gold-wise, he's going to start pulling out ahead of you.
Yeah, and we do see CLG coming in for this blue. Nocturne and Alistar are going to be going for their blue as well, so they are going to trade here. TF will still be able to get a blue. Maokai left all alone, though, and Aurelia is there, so she can deny that. Jax and Zilean trying to get over. They won't have enough time to get up here, so TF gets the blue. But if they get a fight here, there is a lot of fight potential. Nunu trying to get in range to slow because we have Jax coming up. And the flash in from Jax actually to engage on Alistar. He will throw off his ultimate, so he's going to be fine. But we actually have the flash in from Nunu as well with the Nunu ultimate. They're trying to get in range. They can't pick up any kills there, so they will back off. But Maokai is able to grab that blue, so an even exchange for the two of them, though we do have some summoners down and, ultimates, obviously, for CLG.
That was the perfect headbutt from Alistar to just stop the Nunu ult. That is exactly what they needed, because otherwise they have just been slowed to the point where that they would have been able to catch up and get the kills they needed. But, see, that's the thing about Alistar is that headbutt is actually quite a decent range. And if you're stuck in the Nunu ult, you're definitely going to be in range to just headbutt him out of the way. And any CC, most CC of any type will just knock Nunu out of that ult.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And Wicked doing a decent job farming here, but we actually see a farm advantage for Aurelia. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that Aurelia is staying in lane a little bit more. They drop the turret, and so now Aurelia kind of has the lane frozen top lane, and that's denying Jax some farm, even though Jax, Wicked at this point, is a lot stronger than Aurelia is head on. And so he has that kill potential against Aurelia. But because Derpers is doing a good job of controlling that lane, and Jax is roaming a little bit, it is kind of slowing down his build some. So he does have the 2-0 advantage, obviously. He is getting the Phage now, so that's going to be nice for tanking and follow-up. He already has, obviously, from his ultimate, armor and MR, so to get some early health, scales very well defensively with that. He is going to be strong, but the key is going to be to continue to let Jax farm. And if Jax's farm plateaus now, it'll really hurt his mid-game.
But we see, we do actually have Aurelia farming a little bit more effective, but Jax does have 2 kills up on her. So, but we have the Phage now also being built on Aurelia. So Aurelia will more than likely get that Trinity Force before Jax does. So we'll have a little bit more burst available to us for a short period of time because Jax did decide to go ahead, invest in the Cutlass. He wanted a little bit more sustain, and he wanted the slow available to him. We'll see how that works out. But we'll see. We may actually start. That's the thing. We see both of our top laners actually wandering away from top lane, neglecting to farm. They want to be a little bit more of a presence in these early team fights. And we actually see Maokai being pinged out by Derpers. He has no choice but to walk away.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how TF is going to do through these mid-game fights. And so TF, he's solid in fights, but obviously not as strong as other mid-carries. However, against Jax, you want to CC Jax in order to burst him down. TF does have nice range, and he's got a spammable CC. So the fact that his yellow card, as long as he keeps drawing it, is on such a short cooldown, they can maybe chain CCs on Jax very easily. He's going to have the poke with his wild cards to try and wear them down and get into that back line, but it is going to be tough for them to engage without TF, and TF is going to ult in, but we'll see. He's actually ulting in the middle of his team, and now Jax coming in, getting the stun on all the team, and all that AoE going down. We have the Fear, and then the Zilean ult onto Jax, so he's going to be fine, and CLG is taking this fight by force. We have the revive on Jax, but they are chasing them out. It is a complete rout, and we have TF going to go down to that Zilean bomb, so really nice play by CLG.
Wonderful flash bomb from Zilean just to catch up and get what he needed. And that's the thing. We saw, Derpers realized and they acknowledge how much of a threat Jax is right now. So they go in and they focus and they remember, oh, right, Zilean, he can bring people back. How unfortunate. But they can't really get the engage they want. They can't get the focus they want because they know they're just going to come back. So what they really need to do now, Derpers just needs to start catching members of CLG individually and killing them, because right now, team fights with Froggen's presence, it's just a little bit too much. It's essentially a 5v6 with a ridiculously healthy team here. We got Jax 3-0-1, and Zilean himself is 4-0-1.
And the big thing is you can't allow TF to be porting into those fights.
Oh,
and
no.
so TF, he can have some nice control in fights, but obviously he needs to sit in the back line. When you port in, all of a sudden, Wicked is like, oh, TF, you're teleporting right in the middle of the team there.
Welcome, President.
Let me just jump right into your team. I have the stun charge for when you get in. And now TF was just completely, useless in that fight because he was just bursted down, had to flash out almost immediately.
Yeah.
And it started with the teleport in. So if TF is with his team and doesn't need to teleport in, then all of a sudden, we can see a difference for the fights for Team Derpers. But CLG's team is just so strong right now. We have the dual carry threats. And if they can't burst down Jax fast enough, and even if they do, they still have to deal with the Zilean ult. It's just going to be difficult to deal with. And actually, we see Cog is going to get some nice damage against Alistar. We have the slow from Crepo, and he is still chasing. Alistar does not have the ultimate, so he is going to go down, so they are able to pick up that kill. And Zilean actually coming in behind Sivir here with the spell shield probably won't be able to stop him, but he can stop the teleport.
Oh, what?
No. So they're actually...
I learned something today.
Yeah, and if it had been a second later, then it would have been fine. But it takes like a second for the first tick of damage from the bombs, so it does have true damage to draw the tower aggro, but not fast enough, to stop that teleport.
Yeah. So if a while back, a long time ago, what it is like that actual countdown from those zillion bombs is actually true damage, just sequentially 3, 2, 1. A nice little indication for you. But what people would used to do. They would tower dive as Zilean, but since that true damage wasn't going off, you wouldn't actually grab tower aggro until the bomb actually exploded. So you can actually just have a Zilean just screwing around under enemy towers, just throwing bombs. It's like, tower's not focusing me, guys. It's fine.
It was impossible to deal with. It was just free harass for Zilean, and it was just so difficult. We do see Aurelia coming up here to take down this top tower. So again, some nice pushing from Derpers is going to keep this game kind of even. They do have good initiation if they ever pick someone off, but CLG is been very smart this game, and there's not a whole lot of wards down, primarily because we have two oracles out. We have Alistar and Maokai, but even without the ward coverage, CLG is just, always prepared for a fight and always being very smart. But we have Sivir trying to get out. Jax coming down on her. He's not going to have enough time, so he actually doesn't pursue her. But, we'll have to, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what CLG does to continue their fight advantage and what Derpers is going to try and do to engage and get the fights more into their favor.
And hopefully TF will actually be with the team in order to try and make a difference. If we do get into a situation where he does have to ult in again, you don't want to be doing it in the middle of your team. What you want to do is you want to be doing it on the outskirts of the fight, and the two main targets we have here are Yellow Pete and Froggen. If you're going to focus down Kog'Maw, what you're trying to do is you're trying to stun them, burn the cleanse, get as much damage as we can. Or you can try and focus down Froggen, try and have him bait the ult onto himself or onto another target. Like, if you're focusing down Froggen and he realizes that Jax is going to be able to contribute more to the fight, you're going to try and focus down Wicked. But we actually see Wicked now jumping down onto TF in the mid tower, does not even care. Actually, the range damage from Yellow Pete is actually going to be enough. We also have the Maokai ult trying to reduce as much damage as he can. Froggen is actually getting caught out, but he will have to ult himself. But it looks like Nocturne has actually managed to take down Jax, but we have the Nunu ult. Will it be interrupted? No, we got some damage still going down, but Nocturne actually also getting a kill in on Nunu. But Froggen is still around. He still has the bombs. The ult from Alistar will reduce some of that damage, but it's just a little bit too much. But Froggen taking way too much tower damage. A little bit low, but he does manage to get out. We got the Twisted Advance from Snoopy coming in here onto Arthana, and Yellow Pete is here to follow up with all the damage he needs, and that is the ace for CLG.
Yeah, there's just no way for them to deal with the two carries. They're, the Jax with the strong initiation, the flash into the leap strike onto TF, and he knows if I take down TF, all of a sudden they have no magic damage. They lack the burst. They turn into an all physical damage team, and we can deal with that because we've got the stronger physical carries. So he's able to burst down TF. Now we don't have to deal with the poke. We can get low, and they don't have the burst. So Jax goes down. He wasn't in range of Zilean, so Zilean had to use his ult on his himself. But Jack's going down, and they still don't have enough damage to follow up on Cog, so they just win these long fights. And it's going to be very difficult for Derpers to manage. They probably could have just gone on to Zilean here, and they actually do have the fear. There's the dash, and he kills the minion in order to jump to Zilean as well. The Blade Surge, he will be chasing him down, so Froggen is going to go down, uses the ultimate, but this is what they needed. They needed to pick up kills, so we're going to have Froggen going down, trying to get that movement speed. Oh,
Stupid.
just barely surviving. And actually, Maokai picking the wrong target, but now in the meantime, Venom Blade Master is going to go down. So Zillion falls, but Aurelia is, just as strong of a target, and we know that Nocturne, his ultimate, is down still, so they can chase. We will have the slow from Nunu. The Sivir ultimate going to be able to get them out of there, though.
Yeah, we got these. Oh, we're gonna slow you. No, we're gonna speed up. And it's like, okay, we're good. We're back to normal. But the thing is that we did actually bait the ult here on Froggen. But remember, Zillion, he does have rewind. It does take down a little bit off of all of his cooldowns. So what you can do, you can just go ahead, stick and spawn, start spamming. And by the time we have the next team fight, it's going to be back up all right. It's not going to be a big deal. But Sivir does not really have that available to her. Neither does Nocturne. Paranoia should be up soon. And we also had TF use Destiny to try and steal back his own blue, but now Yellow Pete actually ended up getting that also. Dragon is up again. CLG is going to go ahead and just take it real quick, just because they can. They're there. They have the damage available. Might as well do it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because we already have the damage from Jax, Kog'Maw actually didn't go for a really aggressive damage build. He went for the early Wriggles, so that gave him lane control so he can sit there and farm. And then he went for Phantom Dancer, which is a common build that we've seen on Kog'Maw a lot. All right, I don't need to get a fast Infinity Edge. A lot of times you will get that fast Infinity Edge, but I don't need to because I already have a nice mix of magic damage. I'm going to have some AD from this Wriggle and double Doran's build, but actually Sivir out of position here. Wicked just barely not in range. Even so, with the spell shield, if he had gotten in range, he would have had that red buff and easily chased her down, and that would have been devastating. So again, it's a nice build on Kog. It gives you a little bit more survivability with that movement speed, and then scales the attack speed with the Blood Boil very well.
Yep. So I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier during Champ Select, about, I was mentioning what both teams are trying to achieve. I said right now that the objective for Derpers, feed the Sivir. She's level 13. How much gold does she have total? About to 7,500. I was saying CLG's objective was to feed the Jax, level 16. Got a K up on her, and I think a little bit healthier in team fights as well, and with the Trinity Force, and soon to be a Hextech Revolver. He's going to be, man, it's going to be rough, man. It's like a repeat from yesterday. Chrono Shift on him. He's just not going to die, I don't think, ever again.
And the issue is that they just can't keep him off of TF, and so TF has plenty of damage now, has the stun and the nice burst, so they can use that in fights. They kind of want to kite a little bit in fights, so if they can use that poke and kite, keep out of Kog'Maw's range, that'll definitely work out for them. Of course, the issue is Kog'Maw has such long range that it's going to be difficult, and if Jax can get onto TF, all of a sudden the fight is already lost. So as long as they keep TF alive in the fights, they have a little bit of a chance, and then obviously Nocturne can dive onto Kog'Maw, disrupt him a little bit. He does have some nice health and armor. He is building that GA. But now Snoope, with this Oracles, they can start pressuring this, Baron. And there is the threat with Nunu with his ultimate. We don't have any vision for MTW. Nunu can just ult into a bush when MTW starts engaging. We do have the TF ult still, so he can, know when they're doing it, but they're already doing it. He hasn't blown it yet. Now he knows they're going for Baron. They back off for a second. We'll just stall. Now your ultimate is down. We can go in again and have the next fight be ours.
Yeah, we thought we had something there with TF. We tried to get the vision on everyone we needed, and we actually got the speed boost coming in on Wicked. He's actually, I thought we were going to actually have a little bit of a flank there, but we have a good coverage here. And those saplings actually make for really good wards in a pinch.
Oh, you see Crepo just waiting for that ultimate when they come in. They're all going to walk into him. And then, like you said, we have that speed boost on Jax, which is going to be devastating. There's the ult. They're all slowed. They're going to take a ton of damage. Actually, not that much, but even so, Jax jumping in, almost insta-killing TF. He will go down, and we do have Sivir in the middle of the team along with Nocturne. So we have the Zill ult will fall onto Kog'Maw. Jax does go down, but now it's all for one, and it's just not enough. So Alistar going to go down as well. We have the Twisted Advance. Yellow Pete just going to kill him over the wall here.
You can't flash over a wall.
He just went ahead and flashed into him. But so a 5-for-1 advantage. They will be able to go for this. There's the surrender. They knew, just like MTW the game before, Derpers, they didn't have a chance in that game anymore. It was over.